I took a while reviewing this one because, let's face it, despite the accolades the show has received from fans, Disney's track record has been, in a word, abysmal. But I finally took the assignment, as it were, and here we are. Johnny Torch reviews The Mandalorian. Created by Jon Favreau and co-written by Dave Filoni, I guess you could say the show was in good hands. But do you really blame me for being gun-shy? I was pleased to find out that the show was as good as advertised. When I first heard of the show's proposal, I had kind of felt like they should have just cut to the chase and do a Boba Fett show. Why introduce this guy who essentially looks the same, has basically the same arsenal, and has the same occupation? Well, the similarities pretty much end there. In the course of his adventures in the post Return of the Jedi galaxy, he's tasked with bringing in what ends up being a child, fans affectionately dubbed Baby Yoda, to one of the last remnants of the Empire. Mando has a crisis of conscience, which leads him to absconding with the child as he continues with the harsh life of bounty hunting and doing odd jobs for pay. All the while, the two form an emotional bond. Now I know what you're thinking. It's like the champ in a galaxy far, far away. Well, yeah, kinda. But eventually, Mando figures the child has powers and belongs with one of his kind, which turns out to be the Jedi, so he attempts to locate a Jedi to complete his training. One of the things I loved about the show is the ability to go into all corners of the galaxy to spotlight on things we only get a glimpse of in the movies. We see an IG droid in action, an assault on a Jawa sandcrawler, and more interaction with sand people than I thought possible. Another plus is the stellar supporting cast. Apollo Creed himself, Carl Weathers, gets a chance to get into the action. I was glad to see he survived the show. He's one actor who definitely deserved a bigger share of spotlight than he was afforded during his career. The much lauded Gina Carano makes an imposing presence as Cara Dune. She's a fun character, but I kind of went into the show thinking she'd have more to do than be essentially a glorified sidekick. What I mean is, she really deserved her own series to try and give her some much needed spotlight, but unfortunately, we all know how that played out under the SJWs. I really appreciated the fact that they are pretty serious about keeping the helmet on Mando all the time. Considering Pedro Pascal is an emerging star, one would think he'd be whipping the damn thing off every chance he gets. But it feels genuine to the Star Wars mythos when masked characters are keeping their masks on as often as possible. Of course, the mask does come off at certain points, but every time feels earned and not contrived just to give the actor a glamour shot. Katie Sackhoff and Sasha Banks, the boss, show up as some Mandos that don't leave the helmets on. Their mission is to get the dark saber from Moff Gideon, played by Giancarlo Esposito, to rule Mandalore. Esposito's Moff Gideon is played with much mustache-twirling relish, but despite the grand presence, he's sort of a Tarkin without a Vader. I never really felt he was a physical threat. One of my minor criticisms of the show is that they should hire him some muscle going forward. The Jedi play their part as well on the show. Rosario Dawson does well as disgraced former Jedi Ahsoka Tano. There's a nice moment where she tries to train the child, now known as Grogu. Eventually, Luke Skywalker himself steps in, with R2-D2, to take the child in. And as anybody will tell you, they did more to embrace the character of Luke Skywalker in 5 minutes than all 3 films of the sequel trilogy combined. Finally, Boba Fett returns. It's good to see Tamura Morrison again, and he takes command of the role. And flying the Slave One. Yeah, I said it. Let's face it, we've all been figuring he survived the Sarlacc since 1983 now. The exciting tag at the end has him taking over Jabba's empire from an overweight Bib Fortuna, leading to his own show called The Book of Boba Fett. But the situation with him is different now. He's no longer a lone bounty hunter who never shows his face and barely speaks. He also has a sidekick played by Ming Na Wen, who I enjoyed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I feel it's pretty unnecessary. Also, not sure how she survived. Boba gave her a belly full of wires? Even I need some explanation for that one. But they really need to focus on what made the character appealing going forward. So, in the end, Disney does have a good thing going here in Star Wars if Kathleen Kennedy can keep her hands off. Let's hope Favreau and Filoni do their thing and take it as far as they can. I'm giving The Mandalorian 5 stars out of 5, which averages as an A minus. This is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly. This is the way.